see there's a big doggy. Now that's a very nice and sharp image, but it's too big. You do not want that. Now to change the size of an image, you can either use CSS, but you can also use HTML. Now the way you would do that is you would use an attribute called width. There's width and height. So let's say we want the width to be, this is using pixels, so 400, and we want that. Okay, you know what? Let's make it a square. We're gonna make it 500, and then we're gonna make height equals 500. So now this should be a square. It's probably gonna look a bit stupid. See? Eh, yeah, it looks very stupid, but um, I'm pretty sure. You see, the reason I like using CSS for this is because it automatically does it. I'm not sure if HTML. Oh yeah, HTML does the same thing. So if you don't know your exact size of the image that you want it to be, then you should just use width or height and say you want it 500 pixels wide, and it's automatically gonna do the same for the. Let's say I use width, it's gonna use height, and it's gonna make it perfect, so it's not gonna be stretched out and stupid. You know what I mean? So there we go. We're gonna make it smaller just because we're gonna have much more stuff on here. Oh, uh, right there. You see, it's a very small image now. So you can add multiple images. Images are inline elements, meaning that they will always go beside each other unless you have something blocking them. You see, they are beside each other. Okay, so what's the next thing I wanted to do? I wanted to do A tags. Now these are known as links. A means anchor links. I'm gonna put it under the H6s because I can, and A. Now an A tag is done like all the other ones, A, and then you close it off with the slash. Now an A tag links you to a different website that can be on the website, or it can be off the website. So it can be internal or external, meaning you can either link it to Google, which isn't on your website because it's not your website, and or it can be another page that is in your website. So I could create another page, call it contactus.html, and I can link it with the href attribute. So href equals, I'm gonna do www dot. Actually, no, you need the http colon double slash www.google.com. Now this will link me to Google if I click it, but you can also have stuff. Okay, so I was doing A tags before I got interrupted. So where did I do them? So yeah, A tags link. A stands for anchor links. Href is the thing that links it to a website. Um, okay, so we're gonna link one to Google and the other one to index.html, which is our page. So this can be any page on the website. Um, if it's in a folder, you would do the folder slash index.html or whatever the file is called. You get the point. So let's test it then. So if we refresh this, we should have a tag, but we don't. So that's because we do not have anything inside of the a tag. So this obviously has to have a name. So let's say we're gonna make it link 1, and then we're gonna make it link 2. Now if we refresh, there we go, there's link 1. Now these are also inline elements, so let me explain it. There are inline elements and there are block elements. Inline elements are elements that automatically go into each other, or for example, these pictures, they're in line with each other. Block element means that they take up the whole space. So let's say if I inspect element right here, see the way that H1 takes up the whole web page? Yeah, that means it's a block element. Now, I'm not really a fan of block elements, but they can be useful sometimes. Now you can change this with CSS. You can change them from inline block to inline. Now A1s, you see, they only take up the space that are required. Paragraphs are also inline element. Order lists, unordered lists, both inline element or block elements. Sorry, block elements. Images, as you can see, they are inline elements. Okay, so that's that. Now, the next thing I wanted to cover is. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to cover was a header. So there are header, excuse me, there are header, what are they called? Header elements, these are to group items. There are divs, headers, footers, sections, asides. We'll get into those. Now a header, as you can tell, it does a header. You know, H does stand for header or heading, but a header is a grouping element. So header, this really has nothing at all. It really does nothing to your HTML document that would change it in any ways. Now this only works in HTML5. It does not work with HTML1 or 2. I don't know. I've never used those before, but I'm pretty sure it does not work because these features, header, aside, footer, stuff like that, they came out in HTML5. So as you can see, I'm going to put the H1 in there now. See, nothing changed at all. All it does is it describes to Google, okay, that person has a header there. Okay. Now you can also do the same thing. The next thing I wanted to do is divs. Now div is exactly the same thing. A div, I'm pretty sure it means divider. It's also a grouping element. You can group anything into these divs. So I'm gonna put the H2 in here, and that just groups it into H2, or the H2 is in another div. See, it does not change anything, it just groups it. Now these are used later on for once you're using CSS and you want to group elements, it does help a lot, because if you just lay everything out here, it's going to be annoying and it's going to be hard to target elements in CSS. So you should probably start getting into a habit of, like, let's say you want to have a header, put everything inside of a header element or tag, or put everything into the header that is to do with the header. This is like putting folders. So you have a folder and you have files inside it. So let's say you have a folder with images. All you have in there is images, because that, it groups it together. Um, Header, all you would have in there is header stuff like H1s, your links, for the heading, like your nav bar. Now there's also, which I forgot to put onto my little notice thing, nav. Now nav would usually go into your header, or it might go under your header. I don't know, wherever you want to put it. Now nav is also a grouping element, so we would have a nav here, and we're gonna call it HTTP. I'm just gonna copy it from here, and we're gonna make it, I don't know, Google, and we're gonna copy this a couple of times. Now we have a nav. Um, this is a navigation bar up here. Google, Google, Google. Um, yeah, so that's a nav. Nav stands for navigation. A navigation bar, as you know, would be the links that would put you to other places. I'm sure you've seen them on the website before. Um, yeah, so that's a nav. Now you also have the divs, which I was talking about. They do the same thing as a header, basically. It just allows you to divide them instead of saying, because if you just say header, if you just do header instead of divs all the time, it's gonna be confusing. You're like, wait, how many headers do I have? So now the next thing is a footer. You also have a footer. Now the footer, it's the same thing as a header or a div. It doesn't really do anything except names it for you. So the footer would usually be at the bottom. You say copyright, 2016, whatever. That's a footer. So that's at the bottom there, above the images. It will usually be at the very bottom of a website, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's a footer. Now a section, that's also the same thing as the rest of them. It does not do anything other than create a section. So this would be a grouping element. So one thing I did forget to mention is that these grouping elements are usually used a lot for styling. So if you would want to style a section or a div or a header, so let's say you want your header to have a height of 200 pixels and a width of, I don't know, 500 pixels or 100%, so it would take up the whole screen. That's how you would do that, because then it would take everything that is inside of the H1, group together, and it would just make that background color. I'll probably get into that in a different tutorial, but this is all you need to know. Okay, so we got the section. So the section is just a section of a website. It can also, I'll get into classes and IDs in a minute. So we have aside. Now I don't really use these, but I'm pretty sure these are for like side elements. So let's say you would have a what would you call those? Like a nav bar on the side. Loads of websites do have that. That's really for that, but it's also the same thing as a section. So it's just for like naming the element. It's not really for. It doesn't change anything to do with the actual website. So I'm gonna prove this to you, just in case you don't believe me. Put it here. Nothing changed at all. So yeah. These aren't really that important. You can just use divs, but it's good to know because we are learning HTML5 here, not HTML2. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, so we have now this is the interesting part. Now we have classes and IDs. Now I might be wrong here, but IDs. So an ID. I'm actually not sure how I'm gonna explain this, but it's a unique identifier. Um, I usually just use classes. I don't really use IDs, but IDs would be used mainly for stuff like, let's say you have a slidey, scrolly page where it would scroll to a certain thing when you click it. So what would you do with that is you would make, let's say I want this here to have an ID of link 1. Okay, so it has an ID of link 1, and let's say I want to have a nav here, and instead of that Google, I'm going to do hashtag link1. Now this tells me, okay, I want this person to, okay, I want this link to go down to the hashtag link1. Uh, so now what it will do is you click go down, and it will go down to link 1. As you can see, it just highlighted it. If you have a bigger page, it will scroll down, not smoothly, but it will just take you down to where it is. So this will be linked on the website itself. But it can also be used, IDs can also be used in CSS, but that's a different story. I would usually use classes. So okay, a class is how would I, so a class you would do just like class equals heading. Okay, so the class can be named anything. It is case sensitive, I'm pretty sure. So if you would have a H here, you have all lowercase here, but you would do all uppercase targeting it in a CSS document, then it would not work. But this is all you need to know. Now you know classes, IDs. We've learned a lot about HTML. Hopefully you can get started doing your own websites with or without CSS. If you guys want me to make a CSS tutorial, please let me know. Yeah, I know I kind of got off track a lot, and I'm probably not very good at explaining things. um, yeah, so also last one thing I want to show you is the comments. So to make a comment, you want to do exclamation mark and then double slash, or um, what would you call that? Whatever. You would do comment. Now that's how a comment is laid out. A comment is nothing more than just for your purpose. You would leave a comment, let's say this is a header. Now this is not going to be displayed anywhere on the website. It's just a comment for you or the person that might be reading this HTML document, so they know, okay, this is where the header starts. I know this is the header now. So you know what I mean. Um, yeah, so this is all really what I wanted to do. I was kind of bored, so I decided why not make a tutorial, because why not. Yeah, so thank you guys very much for watching.